The sad and unfortunate truth is that living in your car, being homeless, living full time in a car, families living in cars is going to be a new norm as inflation is on the rise. Job loss is about to begin to take off, and devastation hits in areas like Southwest Florida, Fort Myers, Naples, Tampa, getting hit by Hurricane Ian. And what's even worse is there's stories of students, college students, trying to build a life for themselves, perhaps possibly even be the first in a family generation to graduate from college with the hopes and dreams of becoming something more than their ancestors, and perhaps maybe even finding a way to earn a reasonable income to sustain life and not live paycheck to paycheck, not be broke all the time, not barely make ends meet, not have to rely on government assistance programs and EBT and food stamps and SNAP benefits to pay to buy groceries and food. But at the end of the day, home prices are still high. And although they could potentially come down, interest rates are going up, making it much harder and much more expensive to borrow money for a mortgage to buy a home. Rent prices are increasing, and in areas like Southwest Florida, where properties are being wiped out, people are being displaced without any real backup plan, and aren't prepared to even qualify to relocate. So you got to think in areas like Southwest Florida, getting hit with Hurricane Ian, there's going to be an influx, an increase in the amount of people, the amount of families of all ages living in their cars full time and essentially being displaced from their homes and being without homes and homeless temporarily. But that temporary time frame is undetermined and more than likely going to last for quite some time as you try to pick up the pieces, but then try to manage your finances and your income. Whereas more than likely, your place of employment is probably going to see a reduction in workflow and revenue, or possibly total closure if it was severely impacted and negatively affected by the hurricane. And this is just in Southwest Florida, and this is just Hurricane Ian. The hurricane season is not over, and it is likely that we can expect to see far more devastation in the Gulf and along the East Coast, perhaps even, in areas like Texas as well, as hurricanes come through, possible tornado season, and other natural disasters that people are just not prepared for. But with that being said, cars, vans, trucks, RVs, campers, tents, nomad living, and stealth camping is becoming more and more of a norm. Even having a comment shared that stated, "This is my story, mom of four. May the grace of the Most High God be with us all another day. Lord, have mercy. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. In the mighty name, Jesus. Amen." And this is a pretty much it's a confirmation of what is going on. Homeless life is the new norm. Check that video out. I put it up not too long ago, and families are living in their cars. They have all their personal belongings, not many personal belongings in their cars. Some have chosen to go this route to save money and downsize and live a minimalistic lifestyle. Others have been forced into this situation through job loss, through inflation, through price increases, through devastation, through speed bumps and roadblocks in life that they were not prepared for, and no one was there to help. Government assistance programs, as you all know, they are not very helpful, and they also limit your ability to try to get ahead while on these programs, where the more income you make, the less benefits you receive, but it doesn't really allow you the opportunity to bridge any real gap, as you're constantly in fear of making too much money, which is still not enough, and losing your benefits. And those benefits can be reduced and delayed, or just, completely not processed in error. which just ties up time and valuable time that you don't have to waste, while the adjustments and increases are not keeping up with inflation. So as food prices continue to rise and rent prices continue to rise, and possible, likelihood of being evicted or displaced as property owners lose their properties or are forced to sell, because we're all tied together in this economic cycle, would put these fixed income folks and families at greater risk of being homeless and looking to live in their cars, as they cannot find anywhere to rent that they could afford for the price that they had, or available in the area that they would need to be for their work, for their employment, for their doctor's visits, for their prescriptions, for their appointments, for the possible network that they have that can help provide with transportation and aid and assistance from friends, families, and neighbors. This is a growing concern. Now, even others saying that this is a global problem and the working class is doomed. But, what is next? What is going to happen next? Honestly, these are scary times, and the signs are everywhere. And, I'm only trying to spread the truth and be upfront, transparent, and honest with you. And what's next is what Jerome Powell and the Fed, warned about. He provided a precursor of what is to come, which ironically is more pain, which the way Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve, their position on it is that Americans will start to feel pain, which insinuates that there hasn't been pain up until this point thus far. Therefore, we can conclude that if you're listening to the sound of my voice right now and you have felt pain, you are feeling pain, you know what pain is, then, honestly, I hate to say it, but the harsh reality is that it's going to get far, far worse. And the goal of the powers that be is to accomplish the goals of which they have set in their agenda. And those do not include taking care of and helping those in most need, and possibly seeing millions of people losing their jobs, millions of people losing their homes, millions of people being displaced and put on the streets and forced into a situation of homelessness, where your most realistic possible solution at that time would be to live in your car and bring your family and your belongings with you in your car and live out of a vehicle as your only place to stay, then having to find locations to park safely, not illegally, and hope that your vehicle doesn't face or sustain any damages, any accidents, any theft, as that is going to be your last resort. What do? Well, number one is focus on your budget. The less you spend, the more you save. The more you make, the more you save. These are going to be vital for folks, and pooling resources and just trying to do their best to keep their heads above water as we wade through this rising tide of inflation. Beyond that, you're going to have to find ways to further increase and see returns on your investments, have your money start working for you versus the other way around, because for the next 3 or 4 years, we are going to see some of the largest increases in prices and inflation that we have seen in history. And the folks at the bottom, the folks with nowhere to stay, the folks with no home, the folks living in their cars, the folks making minimum wage, they are at great risk. You guys be prepared.